basically, how would you approach this? You've been around for a very long time. When you have guys that have strong leadership like this, like, how do you approach the business side of things?
No, I see it the exact same way Ashley does. I don't think you pay a premium for leadership, because if that's the case, then there's director of player engagement and roles like that pay significantly less for the same thing.
Right. Recently, PJ Tucker said he believes his strong leadership makes him underpaid. And this is a quote from PJ Tucker. He says, "That's why I don't get paid enough. People don't understand that I'm a social worker and an NBA role player." So you talk about, what he contributes to the team outside of just what he does in the stat sheet, right? And what he does on the floor. Like, is this something that's just prevalent just in sports in general, right? Like, what are your thoughts on PJ Tucker's comments?
Before I go, I'm going to go to Ashley. Why are you making that face?
Because I hear what he's saying. Veteran leadership's invaluable in the locker room. You talk about Udonis Haslem. You talk about Iguodala. You talk about other guys across the league.
Vince Carter, when he was still playing.
With that said, organizations, owners aren't giving out max contracts because you're a good cheerleader. You know what I mean?
They should, though.
They shouldn't. Because
championship DNA.
And I'm not saying, let me be clear here. And I'm not saying max, sorry to cut you off.
And I'm not calling PJ Tucker a cheerleader.
Yeah. And I'm not saying max. I'm saying they can get more.
But the thing is like, while again, I'm a firm believer that every locker room should have a vet. The Knicks, we have Derrick Rose. I think every locker room needs a vet, especially when you have a team of young players.
That's right.
Because they're the most impressionable and sometimes they lose focus the quickest. With that said, that doesn't always, you're still paid on productivity. And if you're not giving me productivity, for me to just go ahead and pay you X amount because you're a good locker room guy, I love it. But being a locker room guy doesn't put points on the board.
You're missing it, Ashley. You're wrong.
That's just my take. Being a good locker room guy is important, but that's not gonna be the thing that helps us win a 7-game series. I'm just saying.
Okay, hold on.
I'm just saying. That's just me.
Listen, I appreciate your perspective, but you are 100% wrong here, and let me tell you why. All right. Go back to what we just talked about, PJ Tucker during game one. You said, well, what was it about? I still don't know why he was yelling at the player. Because he told him, go get the next 2 rebounds. That was leadership. Even it took that. Like in those moments in the locker room, sometimes you got to look at your teammate like that and be like, no, are you with me? Do you understand this moment? You saw Tom Brady year after year scream, throw his tablet, throw his helmet. No, guys, this is what we're doing. He goes out there, gets the next 2 rebounds that totally changed the game. There's an argument that if PJ Tucker isn't on this team, right, in this moment, that they're not even tied in the series 2-2. So when you talk about production, it's not about his production. PJ Tucker, we know PJ Tucker for dope fits, dope sneakers. He can shoot the corner 3, and he plays aggressive defense. That's PJ Tucker. Right? Where he's a superstar is in those moments, because now you're making your other guys better. You're producing because I'm here and I'm helping you, right? Kobe Bryant was the same way with some of the players. Well, no, man, I can't say that. There's an argument that Kobe's in the mics, maybe they're too hard on their teammates. But there's an argument that PJ Tucker, if he's not on this team, they're not even in this position.
Well,
and it's the things that we don't see, right? And so I believe that PJ Tucker is definitely worth way more than what he's getting paid now.
I agree with PJ Tucker. I feel like PJ Tucker is a bad example of this conversation because I think he does a lot that necessarily doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But I feel like he's a bad example to use in this conversation because he gives you productivity that does affect the game. What I'm referring to is someone like, no shade, love him, like a Haslam, who doesn't play.
No, it's the same, Ashley.
No, it's
I'm telling you.
It's
Ashley,
not
you're
the
missing
same.
it. Ashley,
it's not
you gotta,
the same thing.
Ashley,
it's not the same thing.
Ashley,
we're talking about a PJ Tucker who still gets minutes.
Ashley, we're talking about
still
leadership.
Sees court
I'm
time.
telling you.
It's not the same thing, Brandon.
Let me
we're
tell
talking
you
about
this.
two
I hate to
different
do
type
this.
Of, we're
I
talking
hate
about
to
two
do
different
this,
type of
and I
locker
love
room
you.
guys.
I hate to do this, and I love you, Ashley. but I was in a locker room for so many years, my entire career. I'm telling you this matters. Haslem is the guy that's telling, Hero, looking at him and saying, stop fucking partying. Excuse my language. Stop partying.
You don't think Jimmy Butler's doing that?
Jimmy Butler is doing it as well.
So
but Haslem is a totally, come on. I'm just going to tell you that Haslem may be more valuable than a PJ Tucker.
What?
Because what you're looking for this is what you're looking for in an organization. From a leadership standpoint, right? There's a reason why he's still there, right? What you want is an echoing and messaging in an organization, right? A lot of times it can come from ownership, then it trickles down to management, and then from management, it trickles down to the coaching, and from coaching, how do we get it in the locker room? When you have all four of those things aligned, then that's where you have everybody on the same page. So Haslem is that guy. Haslem is an extension of ownership. Haslem is an extension of management. Haslem is an extension of coaching. So what that means is Haslem's the guy. He's not he's still him. He's still a player's player. He's still a guy's guy, but he's also the one in the locker room that's saying, yo, eliminate distractions. The reason why a lot of these teams, because let's face it, guys that make it to the pro level, NFL, NBA, super talented, special, some of the world's greatest. The thing that separates the guys from having a great career and just a subpar career or flaming out fast, or even the teams, is the guys that can't eliminate distraction, overcome those obstacles. So having those veterans in the locker room that's already been through it so many times, being able to navigate guys is special. Now you take a guy with the leadership skills and the tonality to be able to look at a guy and say, nah, youngin, we going this way. That's where the value comes in, Ash. And
I don't know what you're arguing, though. I'm not arguing that.
Well, you said like Haslem. You said you brought
I'm
up
saying
Haslem.
that if we're talking about out of the two, if we're talking about underpaying guys who do things that may not show up on a stat sheet, I want to more lean towards PJ Tucker being underpaid than Udonis Haslem. PJ Tucker still sees the court. He still is productive in the course of a game. I'm not discrediting the value of Udonis Haslem. I have been one from the jump who says that if you're not a Miami Heat fan or you don't live in Miami, you cannot fathom what he means to that team. Bam Adebayo has said time and time again that Udonis Haslem has been pivotal in his development.
So why'd you bring his name up?
Because what I'm saying is when we're talking about payment, when we're talking about being underpaid,
right.
I'm not somebody who thinks that a Udonis Haslem is underpaid. I think a PJ Tucker's underpaid because he sees the court. He plays. He may not give you X amount of points, but he does things that affects the course of a game. So that's why I said PJ Tucker is more of the conversation of being underpaid than a player like a Udonis Haslem. We're talking about two different type of locker room guys. And that's the only thing that I said is the difference here. I think they're both instrumental to their team, but one does actually produce on the court.
All right, you guys are owners. So I'm going to say this. Udonis Haslem is making $2.5 million.
Right. He's not underpaid to me.
So there's an argument for me. My argument is that I can say he's worth $5 million. And the reason why I can say he's worth $5 million, or maybe even a little bit more, is because what do you think?
What do you think? Hold on. What do you think he should be paid?
Listen.
Give me a contract number before you dive into that.
I already said $5 million.
So you think he should be making $5 million a year?
Can I?
Okay.
So what makes the Miami Heat the Miami Heat right now and special? Help me out. You're a Heat fan.
Right, it's just like the foundation that they've built, right? Like the core just values that they have. Like
Come on,
defense.
what is
we're
it?
playing hard.
Huh?
We're playing hard. We're playing hard, and we're gonna play defense.
Who's the one that's doing that? It's Haslem.
What?
Haslem set the tempo. Haslem sets the tempo all year long in practice and even on the games. He's the one on the sideline that's fighting the other players. You get out of line, I'm stepping in. He almost got in a fight a couple weeks ago.
So you think the foundation, the Miami Heat, is because of Udonis Haslem?
He's an extension of it. So I'm glad Corey said it as a Heat fan. Been down here his whole life. Defense. They work hard. They're tough. So yeah, Jimmy Butler is an extension of that, but that comes from Haslem. Haslam is the one. That's why they keep Haslam. Think about Pat Riley. He's an extension of like I said, ownership and management. Pat Riley, is he not? You know Pat from the New York days. He's tough. His teams are going to play defense. He's a no nonsense guy. You need that rabbit in the locker room. You need that rabbit on your team that can be an extension of that. Here's what we're on. Here's our our core values. This is how we're going to play as a team. We're going to be tough, fast, physical, strong, et cetera, et cetera. So yes,
but those
Ashley,
values will exist when Haslam's gone.
No, it don't. No, it don't.
That's literally the culture of the Miami Heat.
No, Ashley, you're not listening to me, Ashley. That's why I'm trying to say to you. Like that's why I tried to say earlier. What happens in the locker room when you lose those guys, you kind of forget. Like, okay, for example, Pete Carroll, football. His entire career, you go back to when he was in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns, when he was the head coach of the New England Patriots. Pete Carroll was always, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play great defense. And I would tell you right now, since he lost the Legion of Boom, that culture is totally different now. I was there, right? And you can see it. So when you lose guys that are extensions of you and it affects the locker room. And so I don't want to beat a dead horse because I'm really passionate about this. And
Udonis Haslem is the very best of the culture of the Miami Heat. He represents it to its epitome. But the culture of the Miami Heat has existed for as long as I can possibly remember and my dad could possibly remember. They have always been the culture of that defense has always been their culture. That has been what Pat Riley and that organization has built this team on. Finding guys who may not be, top draft picks, making them gritty, making them tough. They have one of the toughest conditioning programs, if not the toughest conditioning program in the NBA. That has always been their culture. Now, while I agree with you, Udonis Haslem is the epitome of that. And he is a pivotal part of the development of this young team that we have seen. He has been there since D Wade. He's seen this team go through transitions. That's not going to no longer exist once he leaves. That's the foundation of this team. It's culture, it's defense.
But that's why, to start this, what started this conversation, this debate, was PJ Tucker talking about how valuable he is, right? And that he's probably worth more. And the problem is this. The problem is when you're an owner, right? You got to manage the P&L, you got to manage the budget. So you have a veteran that's coming in and there's a veteran minimum, right? So the veteran minimum, you can have a guy who's not contributing a lot and he's making $1 million, but it's over. He's not really he doesn't have tremendous upside. But then you go get a rookie, and now this rookie, he's making $400,000 a year, but his upside is there. This dude, not only can he potentially turn into something, develop into something, but he can also contribute maybe 5 to 6 years, right? Where this other guy may be 1 or 2 years, right? So what's happening with our teams, right? They're going younger and they're devaluing what we're talking about, and that's leadership. So that's the problem there. I agree with PJ Tucker. I think that there's other guys out there. Vince Carter was a guy. Even D Wade towards the end of his career. You mentioned D Rose. There's a reason why you keep those guys together, because you need them to be an extension into the locker room.
I agree with you completely, but I'm simply saying, do you think a PJ Tucker and Udonis Haslem should be making the same amount?
No, I'm not. But that's not the debate.
That's my only thing.
That wasn't. No, I do not. I do not. But I think if UD, right? Like, I don't know what the veteran minimum is in the NBA, but making 2.5, what is it? It's 2.7. Okay, so it's 2.7 now. So $2.7 million. I think there's an argument that he's worth another $1 million or $2 million. I really do.
He should be making $5 million.
I don't think he should be making anything. I think he can. He's worth that. Like me, if I was an owner, if I was a manager, right? Like, that's one of the hardest things to do is keeping your culture. Right?
I agree.
Hold on. The hardest thing to do is creating culture, setting culture, and keeping culture. And that's why I keep saying brand extensions throughout the entire building. It's not just in the locker room. You also you'll walk around some of these organizations, go in the cafeteria, you go to the parking attendants, you go to the grounds crew, you go into the front office, and you're like, hey, Miss Mary, how long you been here? 20, 25 years. You go into the equipment room. How long you been here? 15, 16 years. There's people that have been in these organizations for a very long time. Why? Because the owners and the managements trust them. They know they're going to be the ones, when I'm not looking, you guys are going to maintain what we've already created. So when the D Wades aren't here anymore, when the Alonzo Mournings aren't here anymore, when they come and go, we still have a chance to sustain this. And so you can do it in so many areas. And one of the areas where I think where our owners can do a better job is in the locker room with guys, because, man, Ashley, you know this too.
I agree completely.
And you know this too, Ashley. Look, how many times have we seen athletes just F up the bag? You know what I mean? Out partying, doing the wrong things, aren't taking care of their bodies, right? So who's going to be that person, that peer-to-peer, that's going to be able to tell them like, yo, let's course correct over here. You know what I mean? So this is going to end this debate right now. And if I'm wrong, oh my goodness, if Ashley wins again, Hey, don't say your name. I got a question for you. Ashley and I, we appreciate you rocking with the platform and always supporting us. So I have a quick question for you, okay? We're having this debate.
And make sure you word it correctly, because I already know you're going to manipulate how
I'm not. You can listen. So here's what happened. Here's the question.
First of all, is Ashley your co-host on Paper Route?
Yes.
Okay.
She's doing good. You like her? Everybody loves her being on the platform.
No, I don't really like her, but go ahead.
Are you silly?
That's okay.
All right, so listen.
No sweat off my back.
This is a guy. He runs things on an NFL team right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, he don't like me. I don't like him.
All right, real quick.
As long as we got that established, then we.
Likewise, dude.
All right, really quick. Let's get to business, because I gotta let you go do whatever y'all NFL executives do. Do y'all even work?
As you were with your question.
Okay. All right. So PJ Tucker came out and basically said that there's an argument that he's worth more money than what he is because of his leadership. Is that right, Corey? Am I saying this right?
Yeah, he feels he's a social worker and an NBA role player. He feels he's underpaid because of his strong leadership.
He feels that he's a social worker and an NBA player, and he feels that he's underpaid because of his leadership.
Strong leadership. Yep.
Because of his strong leadership, right? So the question is, like, guys like that, or the UDs of the world, the Haslems of the world, right? Do you keep them around? Would you pay them above market value because of what they bring to the table, right? So my thing is, it's like, when you have guys like that, they actually get the team to be more productive and maybe even healthier, right? And Ashley's like, I don't want to put any words in your mouth. Ashley, what's your point?
I don't have a point. I got nothing to say. Whoever's on the phone, we can keep it pushing.
Okay, we're doing okay.
Yeah,
she's in her feelings right now.
We're good.
So,
I don't talk to people who don't.
By the way.
It's fine.
I know she's taking it personal.
No, I'm not taking it personal. I just got nothing to say.
Ashley, I was joking.
So Ashley basically came out and said you don't pay those guys because you have
That's
a
not what I
salary
said.
cap. Well, then
what I said was, we're talking about two different vets. We're talking about a vet. We used Udonis Haslem and PJ Tucker as an example. I said PJ Tucker, I can agree, is underpaid because he still can go ahead and contribute on the court. He can contribute in a game. When we're talking about a Udonis Haslem, I'm saying paying him over market value when you're not getting productivity from him on the court sounds good, but in an industry where the salary caps, it's unrealistic. That's my only thing. I'm not discrediting what a vet means to the locker room.
Right. So basically, how would you approach this? You've been around for a very long time. When you have guys that have strong leadership like this, like, how do you approach the business side of things?
No, I see it the exact same way Ashley does. I don't think you pay a premium for leadership, because if that's the case, then there's director player engagement and roles like that pay significantly less for the same thing.
But when you just said premium, who said premium though?
You said over market value.
If he's saying that he deserves more money,
right?
Because like she said, he's contributing on the court, so you have to pay for whatever that role is, and then you have to add, a little sugar on the top because you value the leadership.
So you got PJ Tucker who's making $5 million.
Here's the thing too, right? Like, PJ is doing his job. a part of your job on the team is a part of not only balling on the court, but being a leader if that's who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not paying a baller for less if he's not a leader.
Okay, so PJ Tucker's making 5. He say that everybody else want to pay him 5. Do you give him 7?
It depends on my organization and my relationship with PJ. If I feel, because some of it too is, and you've seen it when you go play for a coach. Like, look at all these new coaches that are coming in, and then they go bring somebody from their previous stop, because that player can help them implement their way of doing things.
Their culture, right?
And so sometimes in the interim, you might pay a little bit extra for it, but you're not going to pay extra for it over the course of a 5-year deal.
No, for sure. No, that's not the debate. The debate is, does a guy like that actually create more productivity throughout your team, because they're able to get through to the younger guys and eliminate distractions, and then also implement culture or be an extension of management or coaching in the locker room.
Well, I'll say it like this. The 2 examples you gave, I would say from the example you gave with PJ Tucker from 5 to 7, I don't think that hurts you. Because, again, he's contributing where it matters the most on the court, right? But if we're talking about UD and love and respect to UD, I'm not paying UD $5 million to get no minutes just to be a good leader. I can hire UD either on the coaching staff or in the front office to do the same thing.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you're leaning towards Ashley Nicole Moss.
Yeah, and Ashley,
Okay.
I was joking.
I was joking too. I was just
No, she wasn't.
Time
No, she
out.
wasn't.
I was
No, you
joking with the.
wasn't.
Oh my God, I was totally kidding.